Now for our story. Today, as Ben Calvert strolled down Main Street in Wakefield, he was feeling more cheerful than he had in some time. Ever since he'd learned that his daughter Kit had taken another woman's child, had deceived her father into believing the baby was his own grandson. Smarting under the public disgrace the disclosure of Kit's deception had caused him, Ben had tried to think of a means, some way he could revenge himself on the man he was convinced was to blame, his ex-son-in-law, Bill Meade. At last he had worked out a plan, and today as Ben walked slowly along, he'd run into the man he'd chosen as the instrument of that plan, Georgie Stewart, who worked on the Wakefield Sentinel. Georgie, the town gossip who couldn't keep a secret if his life depended on it. They'd chatted a moment, and after they'd separated, Ben had chuckled to himself, remembering the little man's words the other day after Ben had planted the first seeds in his revengeful scheme. Georgie had said,
"You can depend on me, Ben. I won't say a word about it. I won't tell a soul."
But Ben knew better. He would have been even more pleased if he could have listened to a conversation which is taking place right now at Smitty's pool hall, where Georgie Stewart has just entered for his afternoon refreshments.
Well, if it isn't the local Walter Winchell himself in person.
Hi, fellas. How's tricks?
Been peeking through any keyholes today, Georgie?
Now, Jack, that's a fine thing to say.
Sit down, Georgie. Take a load off your feet.
Well, don't mind if I do. Oh, boy, it's sure nice to get out of that office. Makes me awful nervous listening to all that racket, press machine and all.
Poor Georgie. You're such a sensitive soul.
Well, you can joke about it if you want to. But I'm telling you right now, those presses make such a racket. Well, gosh, sometimes a fella can hardly hear himself think.
What would you do if you had to work in a boiler factory?
Oh, Georgie couldn't do that. What would we do without our society column? We'd never know who went to the PTA lunch or which visiting fireman was in town.
Well, you can kid if you want to now. Go right ahead.
Oh, you better look out, Tom. We got to keep on the right side of Georgie. Why, if he took it into his head to publish everything he knows, nobody in this town would be safe.
My nose is clean. I'm not afraid of him.
Oh, just the same, pal. The first time you make a slip, wander from the straight and narrow. Watch out.
If I do, I'll take good care to keep out of Georgie's way.
My goodness, the way you people talk, a person would think I was a blackmailer or something.
Oh, I don't think you do anything like that, Georgie. Your only trouble is you can't keep anything under your hat.
Is that so? Well, now, maybe you'd be surprised to know how many things I don't tell.
Brother, I sure would.
There goes Miss Jorgensen across the street there.
Where? Say, that's not Mrs. Jorgensen, Georgie. That's Hazel Swanson. You'd better get yourself some glasses.
Oh, Georgie's too vain to wear glasses. He wants to make a good impression on the girls.
Oh. Well, you can't say he doesn't keep his figure. When are you going to put on some weight, Georgie? Build up your muscle.
It's brain that counts, Tom. You've got the brawn, but I've got the brain.
Hey, look, Tom. Isn't that Mario Descari coming out of the drugstore?
Yeah.
Mario Descari, you say?
You know, the Italian guy with the good-looking wife.
Sure. I know him. And I know a couple of things about that wife of his, too.
Oh, go on. Let us in on it, Georgie. It's not fair to keep that kind of news to yourself.
Never mind. I told you I don't spill everything I know.
Oh, come on, Georgie. What about Carla Descari? She's sure a good looker, I know that much.
Yeah, a couple of other guys know it, too.
What? Oh, you don't mean to say somebody's fool enough to try and two-time Descari?
I'm not saying.
Well, you must know something, Georgie. Don't be a piker. Come on, let us in on it. Boy, I wouldn't so much as look cross-eyed at Mrs. Descari. That husband of hers would just as soon sock you as look at you.
Yeah. I saw him lose his temper once. Boy, I wouldn't want to get in his way. And he watches his wife like he's afraid she'll disappear right in front of his eyes.
Well, he must have looked away once or twice then.
Oh, go on, you're making it up. Don't pay any attention to this guy, Tom. He's trying to attract attention. Nobody in this town would be crazy enough to make a play for her.
That's what you think. Listen here. I know what I'm talking about. I have it on very good authority. This Carla Descari is thick as thieves with a man right here in Wakefield. Been going on for some time, according to what I hear.
I don't believe it. She may be good-looking and all that, but she's a nice kid. I don't think she'd play around.
Oh, don't think like that, Tom. There isn't a woman in the world who doesn't fall for a line from a fast-talking guy, given half a chance.
That's right, Jack. Never trust 'em. That's my motto.
Listen to who's talking. What do you know about women, Georgie?
Huh. You'd be surprised.
Well, anyway, I'd advise you not to let Mario Descari hear you shooting off your mouth. Not if you know what's healthy for you.
I'm not afraid of that guy.
You sure about that, Georgie? Well, it looks as if you're going to get a chance to prove it. He's coming in here right now.
Huh? He is?
Hello there, Mario. Hot enough for you?
Hello, Jack.
Come on over, Mario. We'll buy you a drink.
Thanks just the same. I'm in kind of a hurry. Give me a beer, Jim.
Okay, Georgie. Here's your chance to do your stuff.
You think I'm afraid, don't you? Well, fellas, get this. Yeah, as I was saying, it's a darn shame people have more respect for those guys in the service. After all, they had to leave their homes and go over and fight. And what happens? Some guy back in the hometown starts making passes at their wife.
Yeah, sure is a heck of a note, isn't it?
Why, you'd think they'd be decent enough to lay off. After all, a guy's home is sacred. Imagine what it feels like, coming home finding your wife's been stepping out on you, while you were over there in the mud and slush. Fella who does a thing like that deserves to be horsewhipped, what I say.
I'm right with you. Oh, anyway, we haven't anything like that here in Wakefield.
What gives you that idea? Why, I know of a case, not mentioning any names, and of course this fella isn't a local boy. He was stationed at Camp Downing during the war. But he certainly didn't let the grass grow under his feet, I'll tell you that.
No fooling.
I'm telling you. So what does he do after his discharge? He stays right here in Wakefield, gets himself a job. Of course, he was married and divorced in the meanwhile.
Sounds like this fellow really gets around.
You're not kidding. And he certainly can pick 'em, too. And he doesn't mind if they happen to be married, either. Not this guy. Oh, I certainly wouldn't want to be in his shoes if the husband finds out.
Maybe he knows and doesn't care.
This fella thinks the guy who's breaking up his home is a good friend of his. Well, they even did some business together.
What are you talking about, Georgie?
Who, me? Why, I was just telling the
I
fellas...
heard what you were telling them. You didn't happen to have anyone special in mind, did you?
Why?
Because if you did, you'd better watch yourself.
Well, I don't know what you mean, Mario. I was...
Don't put on an act now. It's too late. You were talking about me, weren't you?
Well, hey...
Aren't you?
Hey, what do you think you're doing, Mario? Let go of me. What makes you think I was talking about you?
I know the kind of guy you are. Your tongue's fastened in the middle so it wags both ways.
There's no call for you to get so insulting, Mario Descary. I guess a man has a right to talk to a couple of friends in a public place.
Sure. Just be careful who you talk about, that's all. Someday you're going to get yourself in trouble. Bad trouble. Get me?
Well, sure, Mario. But you needn't get so tough about it. My
Just
goodness.
watch yourself, that's all. You're liable to wind up behind the 8 ball if you don't. Here's your money, Jim. I'm getting out of here. I don't like the company.
Boy, was he sore. I told you you'd get yourself in trouble if you didn't button your lip, Georgie.
Well, if he wants to take offense, as Mom always said, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. If there wasn't some truth in it, why would he get so excited? I guess you're right, Georgie. For once, you hit the nail right on the head.
You're darn right I did.
I never would have believed it, though. Carla Descary. She's such a quiet, gentle little thing.
Just the same. You know the saying. Still water runs deep.
So that's it. Carla Descary and Bill Meade.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't say it was Bill Meade.
I know you didn't mention any names.
He didn't have to. Everybody knows Descary's done business with the bank, and Meade's the only guy around here who's been divorced recently.
I wouldn't have thought it of Bill Meade. Well, you never know, do you?
Yes, Ben Calvert would indeed have been pleased had he known how quickly the seed he had planted had begun to take root. To sprout into a plant whose quickly spreading branches are very likely to cast a shadow over the lives of 3 innocent people. Bill Meade, Mario Descary, and his wife Carla. The power of suggestion, the power of evil, working its poison.